1 year ago, the Adams administration unveiled its blueprint for child care and early childhood education, a multi-year, $2 billion investment that the mayor's office says has already been a huge success. So here to discuss that and explain the measure of success is the first Deputy Mayor of New York City, Sheena Wright. So Deputy Mayor, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Good to see you as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, and this is such an important topic here, right? Because it's the future. It's the future.
Absolutely.
It's a huge investment. How do you measure success here?
You measure success in a couple of ways. We set out to make sure that childcare was more affordable, it was more accessible, and it was higher quality. And we have, certainly made very big strides in just 18 months. In terms of affordability, we've decreased the cost of a child care voucher, your co-payment, if you are, of the income level where you need a voucher. It used to be that you had to pay about $1,300, $1,400 as part of your co-payment. Now imagine you're making $25,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's significant. Now it's $150.
Wow.
So that's one way. We advocated to get more people eligible for the child care tax credit. There are about 500,000 people in New York City that have children under the age of 4. If you had a child under the age of 4, you didn't get access to the credit. Right. Now you do. So that's also a significant accomplishment.
Yeah, because the cost, I'm a new parent, and the cost of child care is so darn expensive. You know,
Yes.
one of the biggest parts of this plan, though, because people can get tied up in the technology or the applications of it all, are more streamlined approach to the My City app. Has it been working?
Absolutely. It launched the end of March. We've already had 17,000 New Yorkers sign up.
Wow.
It was so difficult. You didn't know which agency to go to. You had to fill out 3 billion forms. So now we've really streamlined it to make it much easier, and that goes to the accessibility.
For New York City parents who maybe haven't been aware of the resources that are out there, right? I guess what is the outreach to some folks who are saying, I don't even know this existed?
Right. Well, we did a big campaign online, on media. We had commercials out. There's bus stop ads. We're trying to get information to people's homes so that they know exactly what's available to them, because it's a great resource.
Yeah.
We know that 52% of New Yorkers could not afford childcare. And 25% of New Yorkers post-pandemic of parents really had to make decisions about, am I going to go to work or not? Right. And it was very difficult in terms of their entry into the workforce.
Is there enough space for places like daycares?
Well, that's another thing that we did with this blueprint, is that we created an incentive for landlords. So if you have space that can be used for childcare, you can now get a tax abatement. And so we've got several landlords to apply for that abatement, particularly in communities where there are childcare deserts, where there are just not enough seats for the number of children in those communities.
Understood. Well, keep us posted on that, but I want to get you while you're here, too, on some big things, because it's tied into the budget as well, right?
Yes.
Having the funding for programs very much so like this one. We finally have a budget here, right?
Yes.
And it was a give and take on both sides here, tough negotiations. This city council speaker called the process counterproductive. How do you look at this entire process of the budget?
I think it was very productive. This is a tough time, just in terms of the resources that are available to us to deploy. We've got big expenses as a result of the asylum seeker crisis. We're looking at over $4 billion between last year and this coming year. And so we had to make tough choices. So I think we were very productive. We produced a $107 billion budget that does meet the current needs of New Yorkers and helps to save for a rainy day.
Yeah, and you avoided cuts to things like libraries, right?
Yes.
But then, I mean, like you said, it was a give and take here, specifically when it came to things like housing. You brought up the migrant crisis, homeless, and you brought up the migrant crisis. How did you decide what got the cuts and what didn't?
Well, first of all, we were trying to find efficiencies, and there are absolutely efficiencies to be had in a $107 billion enterprise. And so we really asked every single agency to look where there was some room to do more with less, without cutting services. So we were able to find resources there. And then so we need to make big bets on the things that are going to make a difference to most number of New Yorkers. Housing is a big one. It is a record investment in affordable housing and housing overall in this budget. And we know, that's the biggest financial burden on every New Yorker.
Yeah.
So we really want to make sure that we can increase supply. And we didn't get support in Albany, unfortunately, so the city really has to step in and take the lead.
Right, and the migrant crisis, I know you're looking to the federal government to provide some of that money, right? That could help with that situation and certainly help relieve some of the burden that's being felt here. But there seems to be, I guess, this fractured relationship with the mayor and the comptroller over this very issue of funding. And the mayor saying that the comptroller should go to D.C. in terms of mocking him at times, too. Is there a fractured relationship, and what is the relationship with the Comptroller's office?
I think we have a productive relationship with the Comptroller's office. The Comptroller has a role to play, and we have a role in managing the city. And one of the big issues and challenges financially, obviously, is the asylum seeker crisis. So I think the expectation is, if as the Comptroller and your primary responsibility is the financial health of the city, that should be one of the most important things that you're doing, that you are really beating the drum on this, because it is not the responsibility of the city of New York to really address and care for a national problem. And we have to be united in that, and really have to be aggressive together. Understood.
First Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright, we're going to leave it there. Always good to have you here, and you're welcome back anytime, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.